Well, hello everyone, and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 10th of July 2023. It's Gary here again. And I think I kind of just jinxed myself last week, didn't I, by saying that we'd have no more room for any other pre-season friendlies, and no sooner had the pod dropped and Rangers then did what Rangers do and announced yet another pre-season friendly, this time against Olympiacos. That's always the way that it is, isn't it? I think it was Colin from Orlando who had said on the NARSA WhatsApp chat group that this is the curse of the podcaster or something similar to that anyway. So now what that means for friendly games this coming month in preparation for the season kick-off next month is we now have Newcastle at home for Alan McGregor's testimonial. That's a week tomorrow. That's Tuesday the 18th of July, 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. Then at home, also again to Hamburg on the following Saturday, the 22nd, and that's a 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff, 3 p.m. UK. Then it's the Olympiacos game, and that's also at home, and that's on Wednesday, July the 26th at 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7:45 p.m. UK. And then we finalise our pre-season preparations with a friendly on the following Saturday from there, which is Saturday, July the 29th, and that's at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kick-off. Then it's 3:30 p.m. UK time. I believe we also had a pre-season friendly, closed door pre-season friendly against, I think it was Livingston last Friday, a 0-0 draw, nothing really to write home about in terms of any match action or anything. I think it's just the first one to get everybody kind of kicked off and see where we go from there. And with it being, just a week before the first game, just about a week, I guess, by the time people get a chance to listen to this, then 4 friendly games in 11 days prior to the start of the season. I'm going to go out on a limb this time and say that I think I'm confident that this will be the final pre-season schedule and the final game scheduled for the club before season 23-24 kicks off, and that will happen before we know it as well. So I'm going to, as I say, stick my neck out and say that that's the way that it's going to be. So on to our game segment. Of course, nothing to report from the Livingston game because I didn't really hear anything about it, to be perfectly honest. So we'll just go straight to the RTV stuff for this week, and we are still working through the analysis of the survey responses as I record this, and right now it is 7:52 p.m. on Monday evening, and we were hoping to meet with David Melvin last week, and we had kind of tentatively scheduled in Friday. Then honestly, the three of us just forgot. We got so busy, myself, David, and Alan McWatt, our RTV director, that Friday kind of came and went, and it wasn't until the end of the day that we were like, I guess we never had that meeting then. So that's what happens sometime, but we're definitely going to try and do it sometime this week. I think we're actually going to try for Wednesday. That was what David proposed today, and I'm going to send Alan a quick message about that when I get off of recording the pod this week and see if we can make it happen on Wednesday. And once we have everything, of course, then we'll just see what the model looks like, and we'll do a wee bit of analysis between now and Wednesday, if Wednesday is the meeting. And then, as I've said before, it's to see what next season looks like in terms of admin, in terms of financial management, from an RTV perspective, in terms of how much money they are expecting to take in from NARSA clubs, and then what type and style of support is that going to look like going forward. So we'll see. More to come about that. Certainly we'll definitely have some sort of material update next week prior to the pre-season games starting, because we have had some people asking if the friendlies will be on RTV. Every single year since we've done RTV, every single year since I've been responsible for RTV, we have had the pre-season friendlies, and there's always been a little bit of a nuance in terms of when the club has announced the pre-season friendlies and the kind of heads up that we get. I suspect this year will be no different. If it's not been advertised on RTV just yet, they're probably trying to sell as many tickets as they possibly can for Ibrox so that people don't get a wee bit lazy and say, I'll just watch it at home. So I'm fairly confident. I can't guarantee anything, of course, because I haven't spoken to David Melvin directly about this, but confident that we will get the pre-season games once we get a semblance of understanding of an agreement between NARSA and Rangers TV for next season. The basic deal. If we have a deal agreed, or at least agreed in principle, then we'll be in good shape to have the friendlies broadcast. So hence the need for all clubs to respond to these surveys so that we can have a more fulsome conversation with RTV when it gets to that spot. So hopefully we'll get an opportunity to get on with the clubs that have actually taken the time to respond and to chase up the other folks. As I mentioned last week, it's a thing we love to do, is just to use our valuable time to chase clubs up that just didn't bother to respond, and we'll get on with that, and then we'll see what that looks like as we go forward. So please stay tuned on that, and we'll get more information once we have it from David on hopefully Wednesday, and we'll see if that's going to work for everyone. On the shout outs for this week, I wanted to give a shout out to a regular listener. Yes, we actually have one of those, and it's a fellow called Stuart Brown, who's now based in New York City. Now, the reason for this shout out this week is twofold. Firstly, he is indeed a confirmed regular listener. He said that to my face, who listens while travelling to and from work each week. And secondly, Stuart and I used to work together way back in the day for Cumbernauld and Kilsyth District Council in Kilsyth, North Lanarkshire, back home. And I think it was around about 1995-96 time frame. We had a wee bit of a debate when we had a chance to get together in Toronto as to who started first and what year it was there and stuff like that. I was right, he was wrong, of course. And we had a bit of banter about that. But I bet, looking at 1995, 1996, you're probably saying, I had no idea that Gary could possibly be that old. I did start very, very, very young, just to be super clear about that. And here we are, creeping up and almost 30 years later. And as I say, we did have a chance to catch up and have a couple of beers at the convention in Toronto. And it's funny, I don't recall talking to Stuart too much about Rangers back in the day when we worked together, but it took Rangers to get us back together on a different continent almost 3 decades later. That's the draw of this global institution that we are so lucky to have been selected to follow, folks. Stuart, it was really great to see you, my friend, and thank you very much for attending in Toronto, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week. I wish it was next week. Next year in the Big Apple for our 2024 convention, and more about that in a wee minute here. And secondly, I wanted to send out a bit of a booster, or a bit of a get well message to my nephew from back home in Paisley, Paul McLister, who is having a bit of a hard time of it recovering from recent knee surgery. My sister Linda was telling us on our family group chat last week that his pain hasn't subsided, and it should have by now, and the doctor suspects that there might be a little bit of an infection or some other funky aggravating stuff going on in there. Paul has not had his troubles to seek with his knees over the years, and with a very busy job and a very, very busy family with 4 young kids, it must be driving him absolutely up the wall, the time it's taken to get this properly diagnosed, properly healed. Paul, my man, I hope you're feeling better very, very soon, and they can pinpoint exactly what is going on with your knees and get you back on your feet, figuratively and literally, as quickly as possible. For anybody who listened last week, you'll know that I'm going to do a countdown every week now, just to be super selfish, for a wee bit on the pod, and tell you how long it is until Leo's 16th birthday, so that he can actually start earning money at Westside Rec instead of volunteering and not getting paid any money. He's at the age now, 14, where money is becoming a bit of a thing that he knows he needs to earn if he wants to do the things that he wants to do. So I can officially confirm it's 670 days and 95 weeks until Leo is 16 and able to get on with the actual earning part. We did talk about that a wee bit earlier when he came home today, and he says, I really do like the work, and I like the camps, and I like the kids, and I like the processes and the facility and things like that. It's just annoying me that I'm not earning any money, and I'm working with people who are doing the exact same job. They just happen to be a couple of years older and they're getting paid. So you start to see what life can be like as an adult. And finally, on the shout outs for this week, I wanted to wish everyone a very, very happy 12th of July. When it comes this Wednesday, there will absolutely be celebrations commemorating the glorious 12th around the world. And whatever you're doing, I hope you do it very well, you do it very safely, you really enjoy yourself, and you give it laldy as well. I think today is actually Orangeman's Day in Nova Scotia, here in Canada. I seen a thing on my calendar earlier, so I guess they maybe just do it on the Monday closest to the 12th or something like that. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yeah, have a great time wherever you are in the world. On to the convention update for NARSA 2024. I can officially confirm that it's 325 days and 46 weeks until NARSA 2024 in the wonderful New York City, assuming that we can confirm the dates of the 30th of May to the 1st of June, which, once again, I need to be very, very clear, these are not the formally confirmed dates as yet. They will not be until I sign the contract. Similar to the last couple of weeks, and I know that I am repeating myself now, and people do get a bit frustrated with that. But we are working with our preferred hotel in New York City, and we did feedback our second pass comments and the questions based on the second draft contract that we had received, and then we did actually receive a second draft, sorry I should say, of the contract, and a lot of our questions from the first draft or the requests that we had made were answered in some way, or in some way responded to, I should say. And so the whole process is, ticking along and moving in the right direction. The hotel have placed a date of the 20th of July on the contract as the last day for signing under the current conditions that are stipulated in the contract. But right now, we still have a few areas that aren't quite right where we need them to be. So I suspect probably we're going to have a quick phone call either later this week or very early next. Our main point of contact is actually off on holiday until Thursday, I think, returning to the office on Thursday, so we might have an opportunity to chat Thursday or Friday, and then we'll have these items discussed and ironed out. It's not so much there's anything bad or really sinister, there's just a couple of things where the wording, I quite honestly don't understand what it means, and they've tried to explain it, and I'm like, I think I'm going to have to speak to a human being instead of reading an email, and then we'll see how it goes, and then it should be all systems go after that. And I want to put on record here right now, folks, I am not concerned at all about this or the time that it's taking. It's just one of these things, as I mentioned a couple of pods ago. It's kind of like or maybe it was even last week, it's kind of like the transfers, where we think they should go quicker than they need to go, or than they actually do go, I should say, and they just don't, because there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes to get everything done that needs to be done. Would I like to have been signed up and properly planned by now? Absolutely, 100% yes, but we are where we are, and it's a good place to be. I'm feeling good about it, and we will get this over the line, and we will make a splash on the announcements, and we will truly get going. There is absolute desire and intent from both the hotel property and NARSA to make this work, and we are very, very close, and I truly mean that as well. So to reiterate, we are targeting the 30th of May to the 1st of June, that's the Thursday to the Sunday, but with no signed contract yet, I need to be crystal clear that we do not recommend anyone book any travel until the ink is dry on the contract. You just never know what might happen between now and then all of a sudden you have some flights, and then the best case scenario is you're allowed to change your flights, but you'll probably change some sort of booking fee, or you'd be charged some sort of booking fee or something like that as well, and I don't want that for anyone. I would love you to keep that money and spend that buying me a drink in New York. That's the plan anyway. So yeah, again, the Big Apple Bears are patiently waiting on the formal go ahead so that they can get themselves organised on the events that they're responsible for, which is the golf, the football, the excursions, and the leaving do. And we're keeping them abreast, and they're asking questions when they need to ask questions. So they're not at an absolute standstill. They can make some tentative inquiries, and have been able to make some tentative inquiries for some time. So it's not an absolute standstill for them either, which is a good thing. We all just want to know, myself included, really truly. So we'll hopefully get that. I can't see the contract being signed by next week, but you never know. If the lassie comes back and she's raring to go, and we've got it really truly pinpointed on our second pass comments as to exactly what we need to see, then we are literally down to two things. And the two things, one of them just needs to get explained, and the other one, we're looking for them just to move just a wee bit more, to give our guests a wee bit of a better deal, and then we're in great shape. One thing I did want to finish off with from a convention update this week is to start to kind of create a bit of a realistic expectation for what you can expect price wise, cost wise for New York City. We visited in my tenure with NARSA, which dates back to, from an attendee perspective, 2008, and from being involved in it 2012 in the planning, that is. And we visited some amazing tier 1 cities in North America over the years, and have had hotel rooms and drink prices reflect the city pricing norms. So it's not always been, some of the, if you could say, less popular or less tier 1-ish cities out there that we've had an opportunity to have cheaper hotel rooms and cheaper alcohol prices and the like. And New York City will be no different. The hotel rooms will not be cheap, folks, but they will be decidedly lower than what you could book on your own via a travel agent or on Expedia or wherever you book your travel itineraries. And in the same vein, the drinks prices will be a bit higher than what we've been used to before. Toronto ended up being a lot more expensive from an alcohol perspective than we were hoping it would be. We had to sign the contract at a higher price with a promise of looking at that closer to the convention to see if there was any movement on the alcohol prices. There wasn't as we were leading up to the event, so we got what we got. And I know that some people were a bit shocked at some of the prices, especially some of the soft drinks and stuff like that as well, which was just utter garbage. But that's just what we're kind of faced with. And New York City is going to be on a little bit of a different level to that. Right now, on the base price right now, they're saying it's $18 a beer. Now, that's one of the things that we're in negotiations with the hotel about. We're hoping to get it down decidedly lower than that. We're actually looking at different ways to be able to make things a wee bit more affordable, and there'll be a wee bit more information shared about that if we go down that route. So these are the things that we're working on. They're working very, very hard with the hotel to make it as an exceptional an experience at a price point that's palatable for everyone. But even then, folks, it's New York City. It's a very expensive place to be, but it will be worth every penny. I guarantee it, in terms of the location, in terms of the things that we have planned, in terms of the VIPs that we've started to talk about already, in terms of the overall look, feel and enjoyment of the event. It's going to be well worth it. A bucket list item, I assume, for many, many folks. And with the inquiries we've had, it's just going to be an incredible time. But I just want to manage expectations that it's going to be a lot more expensive than, say, for example, Windsor, Calgary, Vancouver, things like that as well. So just a wee bit of a friendly warning there, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. On to the communications section from this week. After a whole lot of activity, specifically related to the club over the past few weeks, it was decidedly quieter. So I don't have too much. So I'm going to start with one particular part here, which is a bit of a sad news story from today, which you probably heard about already, and then I'll kind of finish off with some NARSA housekeeping things that you can expect to see that are kind of in flight over the next wee while as well. So the first one is that we got the announcement today, and I'll just read out what the Rangers site said. It's very short and sweet. All at Rangers FC are saddened to hear of the passing of our former first team coach, Tommy Møller Nielsen, at the age of 61 years old. Our thoughts are with his family at this difficult time. And I have to say, when I first heard that today, one of these names that you kind of recognise, but I couldn't picture the guy. Then I did a Google Images search, actually, just to see who he was, and then I seen him, the photograph of him with Walter Smith, and then I started to jog my memory. He took over from David Dodds when David Dodds left back in 1997 as one of the first team coaches, and he did stay there for 3 seasons, I believe, working under Sir Walter first, and then latterly under Dick Advocat when he had taken over, and then he left to go to Aberdeen for about a year or so, something like that, after he left us to work with Eb Skovdal's Aberdeen team at the time. And latterly he was always into coaching. He had a number of coaching and management positions around about Scandinavia and the like, but he also did a lot of scouting. He was one of Jose Mourinho's first scouts that he signed up to cover the Scandinavia region when he took over at Manchester United as well. So obviously very, very good pedigree. It was his dad, of course, that was the manager of the Danish team when they won the Euros in I think it was 1992. So a great footballing pedigree family he comes from, and he did well with us as well. But as I said earlier, they're 61 years old. I have no idea what happened, if it was a sudden thing, if it was an illness or anything, but no one should be passing at 61 years old. That's just absolutely awful. So on behalf of NARSA, I'd like to just pass on our condolences to Tommy's family and friends, and I hope that his stellar career is of some crumb of comfort to them as they continue their grieving process and mourning the poor fellow. I did want to officially extend a warm NARSA welcome to Cyriel Dessers, who finally completed his felt like a somewhat protracted transfer to Rangers from Cremonese in Italy, signing a 4-year deal with us there just last week. And one of the things, as I was looking through the articles on the Rangers website, one of the things he said really struck a chord with me, and that was the history of the club, the fans, the stadium. It's massive here. But next to that, I look at what is here at this moment. I had really good talks with Mr. Beale about his plans, the idea of what he wants on and off the pitch, and I thought that could be a really good fit for me and for the team. So I am happy to be here. I spoke with my teammates from Nigeria's national team, Liam Balogun. He was very positive about the club, the coach, the people around, the staff, and the city. I actually had a meeting with. So this is me talking now. So I actually kind of forgot about Liam Balogun. I had a meeting in work with a Nigerian guy who just started in the place that I work this past week. So I was talking to him, the usual, are you into football? Or I start here in North America. Are you into sports? Yeah. Do you like football? Soccer? Yes. And then I start to get to talk about Rangers. And I was talking to him about Dessers. He hadn't actually signed by that point. And then I was also talking to him about Joe Aribo. As I say, I kind of completely forgot about Liam Balogun, to be honest. I have the memory of a goldfish sometimes, folks. I can't help it. I'm sorry. And despite him telling me that he was a big football fan, he didn't know who any of the two guys were. So we kind of just looked at each other, kind of blinked, and I was like, okay. So we politely parted company. Then I sent him a few links to articles for the Rangers website to initiate and educate him. So I'm happy to say we now have another Blue Nose from Nigeria. That's what I do. I raise the moral and educational values of Rangers fans across the world. One future Blue Nose at a time. But it was good. It's great to see. It's great when you've got a bit of an international feel. I loved everything that Dessers says in that. Mr. Beale made a point of saying Mr. Beale, talking about the behaviour on and off the pitch, talking about the vision that's already been sold to him by Michael Beale. And it seems like a very thorough process that we're following here, and this guy speaks very well, seems very, very happy to be here. And if you heard Michael Beale's interview last week, he had said that Dessers did a lot to make this move happen himself as well. So great news all round. Hope he gets off to a flyer and does what we're all hoping that he will do. So on to the NARSA stuff for this last wee bit of this week's podcast. And what we've got is, I've had a couple of requests for tickets for our NARSA members, our NARSA club members who are in good standing, that when they're heading back home, they would be able to apply for tickets. And usually the first question that we get asked is, are the tickets still available? Can we still apply for tickets through NARSA with Rangers? The answer is absolutely yes. If your club is in good standing with NARSA and your member is in good standing with your club, then absolutely you can apply through NARSA. And typically what we do is I email the ticket office, I copy the person who's contacting me from the club, I copy the person, the actual member, and I give them the dates of the the match and tell them who's for, of course, and then the number of tickets that's being requested for. If you're going over on your own, Rangers are typically quite good about giving you 2 tickets. If you're planning taking a family member or something like that. It gets a wee bit squirrely when it gets to away games because our allocation isn't great, and of course it's very, very difficult for Celtic games at home as well because the tickets are just nowhere to be seen. But it absolutely is. We do have a process. I chatted with Brian Campbell, the NARSA VP, last week, and he agreed that he would take over the process, and I could just kind of pass over the reins to him, and we will track it, we will manage it, we will make the contacts with the ticket office for you. We have a very, very high success rate in terms of being able to get people tickets, especially if we get enough notice from folks. So if you're planning to go over, roughly the fixture schedule right now, save for any moves for TV and the like, but get in touch with us as soon as possible. What we will do is I'll work with Lorraine Spencer, Communications Director, over the next wee while to get the process solidified as to exactly who each club should contact, what the process could and should look like in terms of a timing perspective, how the payment works. I can tell you right now, just to spoil the surprise, you pay for the tickets when you pick them up. You ask for the tickets, you get confirmed that the tickets are yours, they will tell you when the ticket office is open, and then you show ID to prove who you are, and then you pay for the tickets there and then. So there's no money exchanging hands between NARSA and the ticket office or NARSA and your member. It's very clean as well. So we'll get all that articulated for you, and then we'll just follow that as we go forward, and then that'll be a wee bit cleaner as well. So just wanted to kind of iterate that because it's the early season, people are excited, and we've got off to a bit of a busy start on the tickets front for this season as well. And finally, on the comms front, just mentioning Lorraine there, you've probably seen a wee bit of activity from Lorraine over the last day or so, couple of days, as she gets going on just some kind of housekeeping, some clean up, tidy up things on the website. And what we're concentrating on right now is just making sure 2 things. One, that every single club has a presence on the website. And I just noticed on the weekend, or just late last week actually, that the NorCal True Blues didn't have a presence on the website. I have no idea how I managed to miss that last year, and I've already reached out to the folks there and apologised and tried to ask for the information that we need to be able to get them on there. But also just to make sure that all the information we have is correct in terms of your location, where you're at, and in terms of your NARSA, your club directors, your club chairman, your club president, however you've managed the titles and the positions within your club, just to make sure that if people are coming into town and they go to the website, that they can contact you directly from there. We would put a hyperlink from your name to your email address that you have registered with NARSA, and then they would be able to get that a bit more accurate as we go forward. It's kind of been overdue that we do that. There is a note on the Constitution, the NARSA Constitution. If you change your committee, you're supposed to let us know so that our secretary Sandra Hawthorne can make the updates, and we keep everything up to speed and up to date. I suspect Lorraine will do this periodically through the season, maybe once, twice, possibly 3 times a season, just to make sure that we have everything completely on the level on that front. I do still owe Lorraine a conversation with myself and with Connor, our social media fellow, and with Chris as well, just to kind of lay out her vision for the year, what we want to do in terms of engaging with the membership and making sure our communications are as appropriate as we want them to be, and as fresh and as dynamic as, so that they can basically land every single time we send something out. So I'm loving the energy, I'm loving the proactivity, I should say, from Lorraine, and long may that continue. So you'll if you haven't seen it already, check your inbox if you're a member of the committee of your club, and you'll see some information from Lorraine, just trying to get those tidy up items done as well. And as I say, more to come on that. So that's going to do it for this week, my friends. As always, I like to take this opportunity on every single podcast to thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen. Please do share it with whomever you think might enjoy it, and get our numbers up. Maybe this time next week we might have 2 confirmed regular listeners. I suspect Colin from Orlando is a regular listener as well, because he's the one that corrects me every week when I get stuff wrong. And quite quickly as well, he's right on it as well. Prizes for the first listen, there are none of those, Colin, but thank you anyway. So until next week, here's to the last week without any Rangers football. Let's use it wisely, let's replenish our energies one last week. And then until next week, just please do take care of yourself and all the very best, okay? Cheerio.